Hi everyone, Playmaker here. I thought I'd change things up a bit, give you guys a little something cultural today. Today, I'm feeling like spaghetti. So, I'm gonna share with all you guys how to make my favorite pasta sauce at home. Now, this is not by no means a traditional pasta sauce, this is just like what I like to put in mine. Now, I like to make my sauce from scratch with the appropriate herbs and spices and whatnot. Some of them are fresh, some of them are not so fresh, but hey, this is how I make my pasta sauce. You're gonna want here about 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. I know that sounds like a lot, but hey, I like a really garlicky sauce. And then I have here 2 small onions. This is just for my own taste. I typically do half of a very large one, a medium one, or again, just this much. I'll show you guys how much to get at the end. But then I also have here with me a 6-ounce can of tomato paste, 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and this is just for me, a 14 and a half can of diced tomatoes. Now, typically I like to use cherry tomatoes just to put in the sauce because I like those little bits of tomatoes in there, but hey, that should work too. I also have here an entire box of pre-cut white mushrooms. Normally I would get these whole and slice them up myself, but hey, it was on sale. Gotta cut the cost somewhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and dice these up and show you guys what they should all look like at the end. And here we have everything mise en place. Now, let's get over to make the sauce. Now, to a preheated medium heated saucepan, I'm going to add a touch of olive oil. And then I'm going to add my special ingredient, a pound of ground beef. I had this defrosting for a minute, and now I'm going to add it to the sauce. And while that's heating up, I think I would like to show you guys one of these. I'll be doing the entire process with one of my laser engraved wooden spoons featuring Star Wars characters. I got a whole set of these from Christmas when I was 19 in culinary school, and my stepmom was gracious enough to gift me with a whole set of laser engraved Star Wars character wooden spoons that I can make all kinds of things with. I reserve these specifically to make my sauces. Today I will be using the flat-bedded spatula spoon with a with hole opening there. This will help me both ground the beef and stir in the sauce when the time comes. So we're just gonna let this stuff cook off, and then I will be adding the herbs and such. All right, now that the meat's sweated on through, it's about halfway done. Here I'm gonna add some of the seasonings. I'm gonna add a small generous portion of salt. I'm gonna add a small generous portion of black pepper. Again, this is all just a taste. How you like it, salty or peppery, is up to you. I'm gonna give that a bit of a stir, and then when this is a little, like about 2/3 of the way done, I'm going to be adding my herbs. All right, now that it's about 2/3 of the way done here, I'm gonna set the meat onto one side, and then on this side, I'll be getting onto my herb accoutrements here. As you can see here, I have the nicely minced and diced onions and garlic. First, I'm gonna be throwing down in the garlic because I like mine a little, some people like doing it on the translucent side and then letting it boil the rest of the way through. Me, I like it kind of, sort of caramelized. Not so much so that it's like, jammy or anything, but just, just a little bit of color would do fine here and there. Again, this is my sauce. You don't like it. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to make it. This is just how I'm making my sauce, and I thought I'd share it out here with my YouTubers and subscribers here. I thought I'd take this time, instead of just swiping from the next scene to the next, I think I'll just talk to you guys a little bit. So, I started this whole culinary thing back when I was 18, just figuring my life out, what I wanted to do with myself, and I thought, hey, I like to cook with my mom. Why don't I just get a degree in culinary arts and maybe work in a nice restaurant and figure out, maybe even get my own restaurant one day. Obviously that didn't work out. That's a long story in and of itself, but there I learned all sorts of ways on how I could cut vegetables, how to make certain sauces, and learn certain meat temperatures to prepare certain dishes. And I also learned overall restaurant management. I have several restaurant management licenses. I have a ServSafe license, so technically speaking, I could run a restaurant. But again, I guess that's not what the Lord wanted me to go to. So here I am, and now I'm seeking a social work degree where I have a bachelor's, and I'm currently working on my master's. So yeah, that's me. Now, as you guys can probably tell here, it's getting slowly translucent, but again, I'm going to wait until they're just a little bit more on the browner side. Not like incredibly brown, just brown enough to where I could say, hey, I like them a little toasty. I don't know why I'm talking like this either. I'm just I've been making this sauce for so many years that I thought, hey, I may as well share this and see what other people like, what's their take on it. Now here you can see the onions are soaking up a lot of the good juices and the olive oil there. And some of it will be dabbed off later on when the sauce is being into fruition. But for here, I just like to get them nice, toasty, and such. Alrighty, now that they're at least partially to the way that I want them done, I will now be adding the garlic. Oh, hold on. Almost added a little end there. Little end there. So now I have a nicely minced garlic that I'll be adding into the sauce, or into the onion bits. I like a really oniony sauce, so if that's a little bit too much to you guys, then you can add less, or not at all. Yeah, that's just me. I love me some garlic. And if you're wondering why I'm frying this up separately, it's because, again, I like it when the onions are on the direct heat there, and then, like I said, when I get them caramelized and everything, I like it when the onions can get a little bit of that crisp, a little bit of that direct heat on there, that way, like right on the pan, that way when I, add the sauce and the water and everything, the fond on the bottom will just scrape off of there and then get melded into the sauce. That's what I like. Of course, this is actually a little bit different than how I normally do it. Sometimes I like to take off a little bit of the fat from the meat there, but then sometimes it'll just make the meat a little drier, even in the sauce. I mean, I know that seems weird when you when you add the sauce, but some of you probably know what I mean. When the meat dries out, and then you're just adding sauce to it, and even if it heats up, even if it absorbs it, there's just a little bit of dryness there. Now here, the meat is just about through cooking, and the onions and herbs are just about where I want them. So now I'm going to be putting it back all on the heat. I was just keeping a 1.5 on the heat because I wanted more of my heat towards the onions. But now I am going to be mixing everything up. Alrighty, now that these herbs and meat have met each other, I'm going to give them about 3 minutes to just simmer here and get to know one another. Alright, now that the time has passed, I'm going to be adding my tomato paste to add to the sauce. Alrighty, now I'm going to be keeping the spoon and I will also be keeping this can because in a little while I'll be adding water to the sauce, but for right now I'm going to add a little bit of water to the paste can so as to soak up as much of that tomato residue that I left in there, because I mean it's paste, it's going to leave a lot in there. But I'm not going to be adding this directly to the sauce, no. What I'm going to do is add this to more of the tomatoes I'm going to be putting on later, but that will be in just a second. For right now, I want to focus on adding this paste to the ground meat to let the meat absorb all that good tomato paste flavor. Alrighty, now that the tomato sauce paste, I can't talk today. Now that the tomato paste has absorbed into the meat, I want to just put this on the flame for like another 2 minutes or so. Again, kind of like I mentioned with the onions, I like to let the heat get directly onto the tomatoes and then just cook it off a bit, get a little bit of that charry taste to it. Well, not char, but again, I can't talk today. A little bit of that just pan-sear flavor. Alrighty, now that my sauce has had some time to cook, I'm going to be adding my diced tomatoes and my mushrooms. Alrighty. Get all that there. Alrighty. Now, too, the sauce and the meat will be absorbing into the toppings there. Making sure they get all that good flavor. Toss these out. Ready. This is a nice thick sauce we have right here. Well, not sauce, just the meat and filler and stuff. But now comes my favorite part of the day. Adding my giant sauce to my big old plate of meat, veggies, tomatoes, and all sorts. Ready. Alrighty. Now, like I said before, I had a little can of tomato paste that I was keeping aside with the water, but instead of putting it right back into there, why waste more water and why put more water into this can when I could easily put it into this one? And before you're asking, yes, this was from purified water, not from the tap. I use only the freshest water with my ingredients. Now we're just gonna roll this around in there, get up all that tomato crushedness that we added earlier. Maybe give this a little stir to get it out of every little thing. That way the water not only helps hydrate the sauce, but also I'm getting as much tomatoes as I can from this whole thing. Alrighty. Just in case, I want to add just a splash more water just to keep everything all hydrated, because we're gonna let this simmer after we add all the herbs and such. Alrighty. Now we're gonna introduce everyone together while it's still a thick, clumpy mess. Alright. Now, I do not measure anything in my sauce, except like for the amount of amount of onions and garlic that I use. Besides that, everything, just about everything, is by heart. I just put the whole can in, put the whole amount of mushrooms in, and then I just season everything to taste. Granted, yeah, that would be the smarter move to write down exactly how much I do it, but, I mean, a recipe is only a guide. That's the number one rule they taught me in every single class when I was in culinary school. A recipe is only a guide. Only you know and your customers will know how they like it. So I choose to make it this way. Now, we're going to be getting into my favorite parts of the sauce, adding the herbs and such. So once again, we're going to be adding a generous helping of salt throughout the sauce, a generous helping of black pepper to the sauce. These sauces will be added here and there as the sauce continues to simmer and such. Then I add a good friend basil. And yes, I pronounce it basil. I'm not doing that for effect. It's just literally how I like to pronounce it. Basil. Not even in a fancy accent. Just, yeah, a little basil. Perfect. Then, unlike some sauces I see, not a lot of people like adding this to sauces. Some do, some don't, but I prefer to add also oregano. Oregano is like the savory cousin to mint, and I just love adding a good helping of this to my sauce. Helps the sauce not be too basil-y and oily. Alrighty. Now we're going to be adding one of my secret ingredients. One of them is going to be the very traditional addition of sugar, and yes, this is white sugar. I add just about 4 fingers worth of it directly to the sauce. And then another secret ingredient. Now, a lot of sauce recipes will have you put red pepper in there, or just dried red pepper, or something like, or some kind of other pepper in there to give it a little heat. Me, I like using my mom's personal favorite, Thai spicy dried chilies. And I just about yay much, just 3 fingers worth, and just spread it around a little bit, but not even all the 3 fingers, just a little bit more, just to let it get there, just let it know it's there. And then, I don't know, that may seem like a lot to you, that may seem like a little to you, but again, this is just how I've been making my sauce, and I've been making this sauce for well over 5 years. So now everything is going to be getting to know each other in this big old pot. And I will be using a spoon that I got all my tomato paste out of there to taste as we go along. But right now I feel like the mushrooms and everything else still needs some time to cook in there, so I will just comfortably wait until everything is set. So, on with the lid. Oh, and not a moment too soon. On with the lid, and we shall check back with this guy when it's done. Alrighty, now that the sauce has been simmering for a while, I just killed the heat, and now We're ready to start on it. Alrighty. Let's see how she turned out. Ooh. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and stir this up just a little more and get a little taste of our sauce. Alright, I'm going to have to add a few things here or there to the sauce, but I'll just speed it up to my own preference there. There's a little salt here. Ooh, that works. Oh, that hurts. Okay. Let's put a sweet sachet back in. Alrighty, I think that's about right. So now what we're going to do is set our sauce aside and get started on the pasta. And of course, my favorite garlic bread. Alrighty, I just put a pot of water on the heat. It just started, so now I'm going to be adding a generous amount of salt again. Alrighty, and waiting for this sucker to come to a boil. Now, while this sucker is starting to boil, and I don't know why I'm calling it sucker, but I will be putting to bake my homemade garlic bread. I make this all from scratch. Well, not the bread itself, but I get an Italian French loaf, slice them up into little slices, and then I put over there butter, real butter, garlic, chopped garlic, and parsley, chopped parsley. And then I actually freeze these things into little cylinders in the freezer, and then I break them up, put them on the plate, and get ready to bake them. This is like Texas toast. Like for any of you guys like Texas toast garlic bread, it's like this, but 10 times better because it's homemade. So just into a preheated oven they go. All right, now we got this water up to a boil. Now we can add our pasta. You can choose any pasta of your choosing. Tonight I feel in a spaghetti mood, so I'll just be adding much spaghetti for me there. Alrighty. And add her to it. Alright, we got all that melted down in there, and now we'll just wait until she all cooks to al dente. Alrighty, I just tasted some of the pasta, and now it is al dente, so what I'm going to do here is kill the heat, and I'm going to get it over to the sink and drain it. Alright, I'm going to drain this sucker. Oh, to try my best not to get loose any of the noodles. Alrighty. Alrighty, my garlic bread is ready. I'm about to put on some of my noodles. Now I'm going to go over here and add on a bit of my sauce, or as the Sopranos call it, your gravy. Oh man, if you guys could just smell through the screen. Hold on a second, just want you guys to get a close-up of that. Oh man, the mushrooms, the onion, the garlic, you can just smell it even through the screen probably. And here is how the sauce looks like in the end. Yeah, I got myself some garlic bread there, my Coke Zero, and a nice new Coke Zero glass I got, and some fresh Parmesan. And yeah, I use a fork and spoon sometimes when I've got like really good sauce there. I'll just help stir up the noodles with it, and then maybe I'll just put some sauce on the bread there. So yeah, this is dinner for me. Alrighty everybody, Playmaker, signing off.